Hello and welcome to the Sami Parvez show. Today, for the fifth time, I'm joined by one of my best friend, Donovan from Alberta, who is running as an independent candidate for this Montreal by-election. We will be talking about why he is interested running for this by-election and also electoral reform and much more. Thank you so much, Donovan, to joining me on the Sami Parvez show. It's always pleasure to have you on this show, and this is our fifth time discussing with you.
It is a pleasure, it is an honor to spend time, any part of my day with you, Sammy.
Thank you.
It is an honor, it is a privilege. I'm excited to discuss my candidacy,
Mhm.
my campaign with you. Let's pitter patter, get at her.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thank you. And those folks are not aware, we recently just met in Kitchener. Mr. Ekstrom visited Ontario and he particularly visited me here in Kitchener. So we spent an hour to discussing about lots of things.
It's lots to talk about in that beautiful Tim Hortons. It's nothing better than flying across the country and visiting a Tim Hortons with my good friend Sammy Parvez. So it was an honor and a privilege to
It
meet
is
you in person.
my pleasure, sir. It is my honor and privilege that what you are saying, and you have been with me like we just recently met from this show, like from Toronto St. Paul's by election, which brought us together from different world, from different like views or political views. We came together and now we are very close friend.
That's life. That's the beautiful thing about life, you know. And I think more people more people need to meet and talk and engage. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Mhm. Okay, so let's begin your candidacy for the Montreal by-election. So you already told me that you are considering to appearing on Montreal by-election. You will put your name there. So what took you to put your name there?
It was the reason, similar reasons when I ran in Mississauga, Lake Shore, and Toronto St. Paul's, is that there's a distinct lack of Albertan value
Mhm.
out east, particularly in Quebec. I think that there's a lot of anti-Albertan sentiment, and
Mhm.
I feel that perhaps having an Albertan who
Mhm.
knows un petit peu amount of French,
Mhm.
mon français est très mal. My French is very bad.
Mhm.
I have gusto and spirit. And I think similar to how we've developed a friendship, despite having completely different backgrounds, completely different political views,
Yeah,
that perhaps having an Albertan that believes that Alberta is the best
yeah.
in this place would be helpful. So that's I was humming and hawing
Mhm.
about it, but then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just do it again. Give the people the opportunity to elect an Albertan.
So is it necessary in Quebec to know French then run for an office?
I I, I don't know if it's like federally it's not right. Federally, I don't think it is. I think you just need to be able to speak one of the two official languages.
Yeah.
Um, but I would imagine like I don't know if it's like provincially if in Quebec. I don't. I think you're gonna have a hard time if you're an anglophone like myself
Mhm.
to try to connect. But I am learning.
Mhm.
Je suis learning. Je suis je parle le français.
Mhm.
Écoutez le français. You know, speak and listen and do my best and I think that is also an endearing quality to me
Mhm.
is that I am trying my best
Mhm.
to be the best French speaker that I can, while also pushing forward how great Alberta is.
Yeah, and I also saw your post, you video campaign you release a campaign ad and you are asking that uh, Quebec must replace their dairy cow with Albertan beef.
Yes,
So
oh,
isn't it
100%.
against? Isn't it like an attack on dairy cow of Quebec?
It's not necessary, but I think that this is once again we're having those Albertan values in place, and I'm certainly I might have gone a little far saying to replace all of them, all the lavache lait du Quebec, the dairy cows of Quebec, with Le Grand Boeuf du Alberta, the big beef of Alberta.
Yeah.
Probably not replace all of them,
Mm.
but and it's not meant to be an attack, but I do feel a little bit here, Sammy, that you know that supply management has created a very weak-willed farmer
Mhm.
versus Alberta beef, where as I posted in there, half of the exports of Alberta beef, 50% of like Alberta beef sales are exports. You know, they have to go out on the market, they have to try their best. They're not protected.
Yes.
Alberta ranchers are not protected by the cold or the warm embrace of a government official. It is on, and there's a certain amount of what's the word, tenacity
Mhm.
that Albertan ranchers have, and I want to bring that mentality to Quebec. And I think by bringing that mentality, that tenacious, un tenace,
Mhm.
grand, émotionnel avec le grand boeuf
Yeah.
ranchers would be tremendous. And I think that's more of what I'm wanting to do. And it was a little bit it was exaggerated, but I still think that is a mentality that people need to bring. And I think that Albertan freedom, that Albertan spirit,
Mhm.
l'esprit, is très bon, very good.
So don't you think you are more an Albertan than a proud Canadian?
Oh, I have a Canadian flag right here, Sammy. I love this country. I love Alberta, and I think that Albertan values in this great what do we call this great fabric
Mhm.
of Canadiana.
Mhm.
Alberta is the fabric that keeps it together with brilliance, with intellect, with spirit,
Mhm.
with freedom, with business, with our natural resources. There is that tenacity. I love the word tenacity. I think I'm going to stick with that. That there's a tenacious tenacity involved with Albertans, and I love Canada, but without Alberta, Canada is nothing. And
Mhm.
I think that is the most important thing. And I think bringing that value across this country
Mhm.
would make Canada better.
Mhm. And so how do you see like Quebec in configuration? So there are many Quebecers who want separation. So if you would get elected in MP for Montreal, like there are lots of like separatist groups. So lots of separatist movements are going on. They always need a freedom. So where would you stand with those voters?
Here's the thing, Sammy. How many Albertans have represented a Quebec riding?
No.
I think the answer is going to be like quite low.
Yes.
And I think having that Alberta spirit will will bring the separatists together, and they'll go, because I think that is all they need, right? You need like a figurehead that shows just how awesome this country can be. And when you keep electing Quebecers, are you really shocked that Quebec centric attitude is taking place? That's why perhaps, and I think that this kind of goes across this great country, there should be Albertans in every riding
Yeah.
across Canada. I think that would be a tremendous thing,
Mhm.
that tenacious spirit.
Yeah.
But I think that when you keep electing Quebecers, are you really shocked that you're having separatists, that you're having those that might disagree with
Mhm.
that Canadian fabric, that Canadian spirit? So perhaps having an Albertan there, Sammy,
Mhm.
with that beautiful Alberta attitude might pull in these people and go, whoa, I didn't realize that you could have this great spirit in this country. And I think that is a key thing, Sammy. I think that there's something there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, we saw like always like in Quebec, always just Quebecers get elected, and Bloc Québécois party just nominate those candidates who are particularly in Quebec, who particularly just speaks French, like it seems like they are more, but it not does not seems like, but they are particularly vocal for separatist movement, they need an independent Quebec.
That's why I think, and that's why, maybe an Albertan there is that missing puzzle piece to solving the separatist issue.
Hmm.
Maybe an Albertan needs to be there to
Hmm.
shake things up.
Yeah. And how do you see the impact of longest ballot? Like what we saw back in uh 2023 in Kitchener West by-election. There were many folks participated on that, and then we saw in Toronto St. Paul's, and then now we have in Montreal. So how do you see how much it making an impact, and how much those elected officials are under pressure from like longest ballot as one of the as one as you are one of those candidates?
So I don't necessarily think that that's the intent of it is pressure. To me, what I see is that we're giving people the opportunity to choose candidates that they would never otherwise be able. If I'm a resident of one of the longest ballot areas,
Mhm.
I would be so happy
Mhm.
knowing that I finally have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Right? Like any other place, you end up with the same four or five parties, and it's boring and it's lame, and you're like, But this gives you the opportunity to have your choice de ville, your choice de libre, your choice joyeux de grand ballot. And I think that that is something that it's not necessarily like putting, I don't think that is far and away, that's not the intent of it. It
Mhm.
is, to me, to give people the opportunity to choose. And that I think it's a good thing. We have first past the post. And I think that now you have this option here where you can choose as many people as you want. I think that is a pure benefit. And I
Mhm.
think that's a good thing.
So, but you don't think it is just a protest, like against post ballot election system, like what Trudeau promised he would change this electoral reform, but he did nothing, like as we all know, this is just common sense. If you would change this system, so it means it could be harder for yourself. How the hell these politicians would change a thing to which make a problem for themselves?
Oh yeah, I definitely that is an aspect of it. I'm looking at it though as the opportunity of people to vote for. But yes, 100% the fact is that there was that failed promise. But like, listen, I quite like first past the post. It's
Mm.
straightforward. It gets to the point. But I do think that that discussion does need to happen. I don't think
Mhm.
there's anything wrong with that, and I think that we need to have. I think the longest ballot is advocating for the citizens assembly. Great, let's actually have the discussion and let's see what it goes. For me personally, I said, I'm first past the post works just fine to me. You get a clear winner. You don't have a lot of like, it's straightforward. You pick the person that you want and you hope that they win.
Mhm.
And I think that's good. But if we don't explore all of these different possibilities, then how do we know it's the right one, right? And I think that that is a fair thing. And I think that's any reasonable brained individual
Mhm.
should say that, yeah, we should have the discussion. We should take that power away from those that win. And then, yeah, if they determine that a form of proportional representation is the way to go, great, sure. If they determine that first past the post is great, sure, great. Like, but we don't know it, right? We haven't really had a good, um, pure-hearted attempt, sure-footed attempt at discussing this. So, yeah, and then, but as mentioned, I am running to give those people of Quebec the opportunity to vote in Albertan. I know that there's a whole bunch of people that are running for different reasons. I think that that's tremendous. I think that that is a wonderful thing. As said, if I wish, I pray Sami, I pray every day that the long ballot will come to my riding. I pray. I sit in the corner
Mhm.
every night
Yeah.
and I pray that the long ballot will come and grace Grand Prairie Mackenzie
Mhm.
and give people the opportunity to have choice for the first time ever, instead of the same nonsense over and over again.
Mhm.
And so I think and that is, who knows? I don't know what the reason why the long ballot started. Apparently that is, the pushing of electoral reform. But I think that from that, you might plant a tree to piss off your neighbor.
Yeah.
But once that tree grows, it might turn into a neighborhood institution. I
Mhm.
think that's what we need to start looking at that as well.
Mhm. And when it comes to your riding, so are you going to run from that particular campaign, or you are going to run from Rhino Party because you are also a member of Rhino Party? Like last time you also mentioned that you will maybe considering a serious run under your party banner.
Yeah, no, as soon as the next election comes by, the next general election, I will run for the Rhinoceros Party as I will probably till I die,
Mm-hmm.
or I can't do it anymore. If I get arrested,
Mm-hmm.
if I get, if I murder somebody, then I won't be able to run. But I will keep on running because that is what I believe is the best, is to give people the choice of things. And it depresses me, Sami, when I hear people getting mad at the long ballot.
Yeah.
It depresses me when they say that there should just be two parties,
Mm-hmm.
as if that's a solution, which it's not. And
Yeah.
I think people have been shoved into this box that has been perfectly immaculately constructed by the liberals and conservatives and NDP,
Yeah.
that you have to vote in this parameter. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot leave the box.
Yeah.
If you leave the box, you are a problem. And
Yeah.
I think that the long ballot is it's opening the get out of the box.
Yes.
Feel free.
Yeah.
Vote for what you want. And that's what I'll do next general election. I will run for the Rhinoceros Party,
Mm-hmm.
Grand Prairie Mackenzie. And there's a couple of people that I might get in the surrounding area. So we might have a little cluster in northwestern Alberta and northeastern BC of rhino. And I think that that's good. I think that is ultimately right. As I said, you might plant a tree to spitefully tick off your neighbor, but that tree is going to have children building tree houses, and that's what the long ballot is. It's a tree house
Okay.
tree.
And how long this time this long ballot would be for like Montreal by-election? Like will it be 2 meters? Last time it was just close to 1 meter.
Well, so I've heard from some of the organizers that there's like I think over 115 people
Mhm.
that were signed up for this. And so we had 76 or 78 in Toronto, St. Paul's.
I think
But
73% for.
yeah, some 70 something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we had that. So if we had everybody on there,
Hmm.
but there's also a couple of independents that are running.
Hmm.
There's that new conservative party, like the policy party of, I don't know,
The Canadian
PPC.
Future Party.
Oh, sure, perfect, good. There's so many, and there's like all these different things that are popping out of the woodwork, and I'm quite intrigued
Mm.
at what's taking place there, where you kind of look, and so you have those guys there. You might have 15 of those, 130 people, like almost double Toronto, St. Paul. Like, you give me that. I don't know. It would be neat. I'm curious. Well, we'll have to see what happens.
Mm.
As you know, it's tough. It's easy to sit down and say you're going to do something,
Mm.
and then you have to do all the paperwork and stuff, and then that usually cuts people off significantly. But the goal is, it'd be cool to hit over, 100 would be neat. And then, yeah, 2 meters, 2.5 meters long, like a Santa's list. It's pretty much like it'd be beautiful.
Mhm. So why just LaSalle riding? Why there is also another by-election in Winnipeg, like the same day, like on September 16th, like both election will be held on the same day.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that people, when the long ballot ran in Winnipeg South Center, there was a little bit of hullabaloo. I
Mm.
feel that when you run in Toronto,
Yeah.
there was a lot more push. And why not run in the heart of Quebec,
Like,
the other the other side of the Canadian coin.
yes,
And I think that that sends a thing, right? I think people in Winnipeg, so Winnipeg's already had it. Why should Winnipeg have like all of the long ballots? This is a thing that should go across. When St. John's, Newfoundland has one,
yeah,
we should give St. John's the opportunity to have the long ballot as well. Let's
yeah.
just have it global. Yukon territories, Sammy. Yukon territories long ballot sounds pristine.
Hmm.
So I think it's people are I think people just tune out if it's another Winnipeg one versus Toronto, the heart, Montreal, the heart.
Hmm.
Um, and I think you could even see that happening in like if Vancouver
Yeah,
had one, I think Vancouver would be a viable one.
yeah,
Calgary would be a viable one. Places that haven't experienced it yet.
yeah. Like then Saskatoon and like and other major cities too. So
Yeah.
it would be great to know like, and they have the opportunity to vote for not just one candidate, like whatever they would prefer. Yeah, and so did longest ballot in your understanding or awareness were contacted by any government or elected official since Toronto St. Paul's by-election? Then you are right. Then there is another campaign going on in Montreal.
Oh, like they got contact. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean exactly?
Like, did government official or elected official contacted the longest ballot that you don't need to do this and we are airing you or something like that?
I I think Elections Canada loves what I have no I think that there is no ill will amongst the government with the long ballot. The Shushikowicz brothers, I don't know how to pronounce their last names.
Mhm.
But they're good, strong. I think that if anything, from what I've heard, is that there was that perhaps they received roses from they didn't. I don't want them to get arrested. But I think that I think that Elections Canada loves what the long ballot's doing. I think that if anything, I hope that the Elections Canada reached out that please do this in Montreal, please. I like to think that that's what happened. I like to think that there's a government official that said please
To do it.
please please do it. Please. It's so good. And it's good for democracy. And I think that's in my mind, I think that's what happened. I think there was a lot of please. And I hope that that is what took place.
So we saw like Toronto St. Paul's. It took like usually it will be like I worked as a deputy returning officer. Like when the polls closed at 8 o'clock, within 2 hours, done voting system. Counted ballot results are out from each polling station. But we saw in Toronto St. Paul's by election like it went to up to like 5 o'clock. Like they could not, and some newspapers or like those elected officials or maybe other officials were blaming this longest ballot. So as you are saying, like there could be like more than 100 candidates, so it may take all entire day until next morning we won't have any result. So how do you see like to keep those workers awake? Like usually they work like I think 15 hours, something like that, but they may work over 24 hours.
No, I think that hey, first off, I think that too many people are so like we got to get the results. We got to get. It's like I I taught kindergarten,
Mm-hmm.
and when Christmas was coming, the kids were just irritated. Like there was an irritation of like, oh, it's Christmas, and it's just like, hey, patience is a virtue. And
Mm-hmm.
I think for too long we've lost that. And I think if there's a meditative quality for those that are clamoring for results,
Yeah,
people need to wait. I think that when it comes to the fact that there could be people working 24 hours, first off, they should get paid like quintuple,
yeah,
right? Like you should get paid overtime times like 20
yeah.
because of what you're doing. I think that but I also think that this could go by quite a lot quicker if you hired more people. And I
Yeah.
think that is also one thing that people don't seem to realize is that if you hire more people, that's getting some more money into the economy, and
Mhm.
you're getting these people working 24 hours, but you might have a whole team, and this could get done far quicker. And I think that that would be a tremendous option here, that the solution that people seem to be ignoring.
Yes.
And so I think that there's a couple of things, right? First off, patience is a virtue.
Mhm.
And I think that we've lost it in this day and age where we got our phones. We
Yeah.
gotta like get the results right away. We gotta go, we gotta go, 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 go. Why not take a breather, hang out with your friends?
Mhm.
Like the Numbers podcast, when they did their live stream results,
Yeah.
was with Eric Grenier
Yeah.
and Philip Fournier. It was so wonderful seeing these friends and
Yes.
seeing them like let loose. It was wonderful when it was like 2 in the morning,
Yes.
just seeing them wonder what to do next. And
Mhm.
I think that that is spend time with your loved ones.
Yeah.
I think people need to do that more. And I
Mhm.
think that we're too much, got to get the results, got to get the results.
Yeah.
And I think that you can do that. And at the same time, hire more people
Yes.
and really like focus on that. Take your time with the results. Maybe like, hey, have some cots.
Mhm.
Everybody sleeps.
Yeah.
Get some coffee, some donuts. Everyone's laughing like Christmas morning.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're not thinking of this as if it's like a Christmas morning.
Mhm.
Let's rest. Let us wake up. Have some hot cocoa. Hi, returning officer. How are you?
Mhm.
Like, give them a hug.
Yeah.
Give them some like, and I think that, and then people can come by with cookies.
Mhm.
Leave them in the front. And I
Mhm.
think that there's a moment here where something wonderful can happen,
Mhm.
but it's on certain individuals to make that happen, and I hope that they do.
Mhm. Yeah, it means, yeah, you are right. It means there should be patience and like patience is virtue, like it would be good for economy to hire more folks as the unemployment number is on the peak. Like too many folks are unemployed. Like yesterday I visited here in Cambridge, just went for hiring event in PepsiCo. Then I saw a huge lineup. Maybe you saw like my video, like which I uploaded on my podcast. Like it mean there are too many unemployment is ongoing, and these could be the great opportunity to hire more folks and give them the opportunity to work and have experience, and it would be great for the economy. Like, but I don't think they are going to hire more folks. And it mean if there are three polling station in one polling station, like three, like they need to hire maybe two or three deputy returning officer or other official, which could make it easier. Like you need to divide the ballots. Like you need to count this much, this much, this much. So it could be more easier. We would get the result. If we don't get them, just stay patient. But like this technology era and the mainstream media, they will keep be pushing. Like they will be sharing more uh some, like it means they will be spreading more things against of these folks, like which would discourage them to run in the. And today I was airing like this La Presse, I believe, Quebecer, like Pre-Press or La Presse, I believe that is called, which reported that it mean it is a scam or fraud. It means this longest ballot is many candidates are running in Montreal. I did not confirm it, but I hear it from, I was speaking with another candidate of that riding.
Unreal. How then that's sometimes some people are going to be on Senate honest,
Mhm.
and it's people that are discouraging what is a beautiful tree,
Yeah.
a tree of love and tenacity. I think that,
Mhm.
that's a shame if that's what it is. I'll have to look into that because I am je beaucoup disappoint.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, this is going on, like mainstream is more focused on the major parties because they get funds from them. And we saw,
Wow.
like, CVC receive like 18.3 million to executives, and despite that, they
The losses.
Yeah, I mean, they what do you call it? It means they lay off. Yeah, it means despite that they lay off many workers, but the bosses or executives keeps receiving bonuses from taxpayers' money. And CTV, like the Bell Media, also received millions of dollars. And despite that, they lay off. Like last month, I believe many great journalists got unemployed. So this
Oh
has
yes.
been on going on, but despite that, they always stuck. They are reporting just as pro-government. Like it seems like we are living in a communist country or a dictator country like Russia or China. Like where the media is controlled by the state.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that would say communist.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're seeing a lot of, well, it's Chorus Media out here in Alberta. Chorus has now combined the global news,
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton and Calgary into one show. So
Mm-hmm.
it used to be you'd have global Edmonton and global Calgary, and now it's just one thing. I wouldn't say communist, and
Mm-hmm.
there's good people that are working there, but I do think that there's an oligarchical effect where, yeah, and it's the same thing when you look at what happened with COVID and Loblaws, where Galen Weston Jr. or whatever, who was the Sonichu guy, gave himself like a gigantic bonus as everybody's struggling. And I think that there comes a point where you have to read the room, right? And I think that there's a lot of people that have done the same thing over and over again. And it's like that with our politicians. I guarantee you, if you ask most of the MPs about family doctors,
Mm-hmm.
they'll sit down and be like, "Oh, I have a family doctor. It's not that bad." But then you at Grand Prairie, up where I'm from, I think it's half of the population doesn't have a family doctor. And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, and so it's like, how can you have that? And I think people just sort of, that's that box I talked about. There's a box has been constructed
Mm-hmm.
from these parties, from some members of the media that think that this is the way that it has to be. And I think that the box needs to be shattered, just like that Apple 1984 commercial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just can confirm the La Presse from like Montreal, if the editorial wrote the bogus candidates who mock our elections. It means
What?
bogus candidates. Yeah, I can show you this one
I'm
on the
I'm just looking at this right now. La
yeah,
Presse,
you need to see
unreal. Oh, an
see
unreal, bogus.
bogus. Yeah,
Oh,
the bogus candidates who mock our elections. The bogus candidates,
unreal.
the bogus candidate who mock our election. This is ridiculous, like as a like reputed media, you know. So it seems like this has been I have been saying it means the mainstream media is always pushing out the like alternative ways like independent candidates, smaller parties, and like independent media and independent journalist or other political commentator. It seems like they don't have any business on these particular things. It should be called out, and they should be ashamed for calling out independent candidates as uh, bogus candidates. Like everyone can be get elected and be prime minister. There is no restriction under Canada charter rights or Canadian constitution or elections act, like which all give you freedom. Yeah, you can get elected and you can become a prime minister, and the constituents or the voters are not going to elect a prime minister. They just elect their member of parliament or representative in the legislative assembly. But then those elected official would appoint prime minister. Like then they vote and get elected. But I think this is completely ridiculous. It should be called out by all elected officials. Like and candidates like you.
Well, we'll send it. We'll send this video
Mhm.
to La Presse, and
Mhm.
then I'll explain it. I'm gonna grab my dictionary, my
Yeah,
French English dictionary,
yeah,
and I'm going to cobble together the tree analogy.
yeah.
Larber,
Mhm.
Arbor. I'm
Mhm.
trying to, but I will sit down and I will construct this because yeah, that's not very nice
Mhm.
for them to say such a thing. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sickening. I'm sickened to hear that somebody would even remotely think that this is bogus.
Mhm.
It's a shame, Sammy. It's a
Yeah.
dang shame. This is why they need an Albertan
Yeah.
to represent them. I think that that will clear their heads a little bit. I think
Yeah.
La Presse should
Mhm.
be called the Press.
Mhm.
It's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. It never happened. Like it seems like, as I said, like like whenever I invite a candidate, like yesterday I was speaking with a candidate from Quebec. I think she said she's living in Montreal, like she's running as an independent candidate. I asked her, like she said, what we are going to discuss on this interview. I said, like everything else other than mainstream media, like media subsidies. Then I asked her, were you interviewed by mainstream media? She said, no. I said, this is how it works, like they keep neglecting independent candidate like yourself. And but we are going to pay them from our taxes, our hard earned money. And but they don't give a damn about you, but those just elected officials or the mainstream or major parties, this is completely ridiculous. And there should be call out, like they should. And this is okay, like we stop funding to these media, like independent media can run without funding, like we have like great Black Locks reporter. It always works just the best interest of Canadians, like they don't receive a single penny, even though we have Rebel News and we have True North Media and we have another newspaper, the Western, I think, Western General from Alberta. Like we have all these independent media. Like it means we have to now call out and stop funding these newspapers. What's your take?
What I will say about that, and it's a thing that I'm always questioning what I read. It's what I learned in high school from my teacher, Mr. Fraser, said read multiple sources because there comes a point in this sort of like a libertarian fantasy where there's no government involved, that there's still going to be powers at play, right? Like who funds Rebel Media, who funds Western Standard, who
Yeah.
funds all of these things, right? And who's trying to push that message there, right?
Yes.
And so I think that in a sense that it's mainstream still has a place. There's still a place for media, but like you can't just sit down and you always question things, right?
Yeah.
And always sit down and go. And that some of the best journalism has come from independents, right? People that are, I am a contributor and I'm boots on the ground. Hey, this is what's happening. And yeah, question it, right? It's not necessarily, you're right. We're not going to sit down and say that this is the perfect solution,
Yeah.
right? We'll just get rid of it, everything. Rebel Media will rise to the top.
Yeah.
Rebel News has an entirely different problem
Yes. Yes.
versus that. And I think that there needs to actually be more power given to the independent journalist
Yeah.
and more power and given more consideration
Hmm.
for that and more contributions from that.
Hmm.
I think that that would be a far greater thing.
Hmm.
I said, like, there's a problem. True North has, I just said, who funds these places, right? What message are they trying to send out,
Yes.
right? It's the same thing with like, when we think about like let's think about the libertarian power fantasy of you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, there comes a point where okay, alcohol,
Hmm.
right? It's an opiate for the masses. It was used to help with colonizing.
Hmm.
Is alcohol, it's been deemed by society, but is it actually, or is that being something that is obfuscated, control from those that be to continue to sedate people?
Yeah.
And I think that you always should just be questioning things. And I think that is a
Yes.
thing
Yes.
that people
Yes.
tend to have lost because
Hmm.
we end up having to said like the opposite problem is taking place where people only read Rebel News and
Hmm.
there's problems attached with that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that you should read multiple sources. You
Yes.
should
Yes.
read, and that's what I do every morning. Every morning I do CNN
Yeah.
and Fox News,
Yeah.
and then I do CBC, And
yeah.
then I used to do global, but global's kind of chorus is kind of dumping the bed. And then I'll have a quick gander at what Rebel News is up to. And I think that's a way people need to start thinking again.
Mm,
And then I think in turn, once you start to do that, you'll start to see, oh wow, boy, this CTV really dropped the ball on this certain issue.
mhm.
Instead of just blindly following it. Okay, I saw that this isn't what took place, and doing a bit of research. People don't critically think anymore, Sammy.
Yes.
People just sit down and they just eat the thing that makes them feel good. I want to eat the soup that has been made by my favorite daddy, Ezra Levant.
Mm,
Ezra Levant, Daddy, give me the soup. This is the only soup that I eat. Daddy, the soup is so good. Daddy, Ezra Levant, give me more soup.
mm.
And you're like, okay, but have you considered perhaps the soup from this person? No, right? And then that's all people get locked into, and then they end up being in their echo chambers. The algorithm keeps feeding them the same stuff, and then that keeps locking in their views. That algorithm is pushing whoever funds these things.
Yes.
And I think that is where a problem is. I used to be like, Sammy, I used to be like super when I was in high school. I used to be very anti CBC because
Mhm.
I thought that a government media thing was bad. But I think as time has been going on, we're starting to see, I think that it has a place
Yes.
alongside
Mhm.
private media, alongside independent media. And
That's
I think that there is a purpose for all of it. And I think
mhm.
that people just need to start thinking a little bit more
Yes.
instead of just sort of buying into whatever makes you feel good,
Mhm.
because it turns out all sides are stupid.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with you. It means we also need to look up those other alternative independent medias, which I took name and you are taking names. Like we must know who are funding these folks. Like these media. And also, yeah, I don't say like we don't need CBC or CTV. Yes, we need them. Like we need Globe and Mail. Like which is a great like always gave us like the most of the reporting, like which we don't get from any other media, like
Like We Charity, like with the liberals, We
yeah,
Charity, I
we
think was
charity
broken
foreign
from Globe and Mail.
interference.
Like there's a lot of things, right?
Yeah,
And I think, yeah, you're right though, that a lot of the funding is a
yeah,
problem
yeah.
when your media is being sort of funded by government media, right? And it's like, okay, should I report, right? And that's always in the back of your mind. But I think that the readers need to be smart
Mm.
on that and be aware of that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. It means these and they have like lots of folks like working there. Like lots of journalists. Whenever they will lay off, so they will lose. But I don't understand with respect to CBC. They are keep like top executives keep
Yeah.
getting more funding. Like even Peter Mansbridge, like the great journalist. Like he has been in CBC and he had an interview with the CBC journalist and they ask about these one like this funding he said that yeah it means CBC is receiving too much funding but they don't know how to spend it, so whenever they come to realize because the board is not it means in the board there is no one from the ground, like there is no journalist who work as a reporter or journalist or any other with respect to media, like they don't know how to spend this money. So that's why it means whenever they will realize they will get shuffled out, like new people will come in. So it means there should be some change in the system, like from the top and the bottom.
Yeah, the fact that execs are giving themselves giant checks while cutting stuff is insane.
Yeah,
I also think that the entire concept of bonuses for someone that makes almost seven figures
yeah,
of regular salary doesn't make any sense. I
yeah.
think and it only further divides that class structure
Mm,
of like, the execs are, yes, you guys deserve all of the credit for a failing enterprise that can't stand on its own. Like, give me a break. And yeah, particularly being taxpayer dollars, I think that like CBC needs to have a full on. I think there's a place for it, and I think that you need to get rid of that exec. Like you should just have like a president that gets paid $75,000,
mhm.
and that's it. And then that president decides the direction things are going to go.
Yeah,
Maybe an assistant, and then just so much bloating. And
yeah.
it doesn't serve anybody's purpose except just to line the pockets of these rich jerks. which is irritating.
Yeah, and but I don't think we will have like it means the government itself is keep spending money, like everywhere. And the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau himself, like flying around the Canada and across the globe and keep asking us that, oh, you don't need to spend this much money, or you need to cut like Disney Plus what freelance says. It seems like they're spending too much, and then they are asking us to cut our expenses. You need to cut your expenses, then we will come to a point where maybe we could be saved, like millions of dollars, and our debt reached to $1.4 trillion. No one knows when will the budget will be balanced.
Yeah, it is. There's I did watch Trudeau talk with Kean Bexte of the counter signal when Kean Bexte weirdly stalked Trudeau onto the beach. But I think Trudeau does make a point that certainly politicians can't, like the prime minister, I think has to. I don't. I was reading some of the rules, but like the prime minister has to take that Learjet. But I do think, for instance, Trudeau went and did a press conference in Kingston,
Yeah,
and flying the jet from Ottawa to Kingston
yeah.
doesn't make a lot of sense. There's trains, there's different ways that you could go that would be far less. And
Yeah,
that's when we talk about that hypocritical nonsense of, well, we have to, everybody has to cut things as he flies from Ottawa to Kingston. I give me I don't really buy that too much. I think that's silly, but I do understand, like, for instance, him flying to Vancouver, you have to take the jet. That makes sense, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah, but like when you're doing it from Kingston to Ottawa, that doesn't make sense.
Mhm. Yeah, and this has been going on, and I don't know, like, should we discuss any other topics?
I think we got a fair amount of good. We traveled. We discussed we discussed my campaign. We talked about the problems of the world. And
Mhm.
well, you know what? I think I might just end with, like, be optimistic.
Mhm.
That, like, no matter what happens, the sun's gonna rise.
Mhm.
And I think that that's a thing that we've lost track on. There's somebody calling the long ballot bogus. That's the sun will rise tomorrow.
Mhm.
And think of the tree.
Mhm.
I encourage you to think of the tree. Please think of the tree.
And your message to LaSalle riding residents.
Um, j'ai beaucoup promises et ideas pour la salle Mémoire de Verdun. Je ne sais pas le français. Mon français très mal. Et mon spirit est très bien. Et je comprends le grand prairie, le grand tapestry au Canada. Je suis Albertan.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, now it's time for Would You Rather.
Oh, do you have a would you rather for me?
Yes, last time you had a would you rather for me. Now I have for you.
Oh, let's go, Sammy. I'm excited. Let's do this.
Okay. So would you rather be the Prime Minister of Canada or the President of the United States?
Ooh, I like that because I think president, you have like unilateral power,
Mhm.
right? Like, you're set for 4 years.
Mhm.
You sort of do whatever you want.
Yes.
Yeah, prime minister, it feels like there's a lot of people that could stab you in the back at any moment. So I think, despite it being probably the more stressful position, being the leader of the free world, I think I'll go with the president of the United States.
Okay, so you will be the President of the United States. So would you rather be the Premier of Alberta or the Premier of Quebec?
I like that. I as much as I want to affect how great Quebec is, my heart is Alberta, and I think that no, you know what? I think I'd go Quebec because I know I trust in Albertans' choices, though sometimes stupid. I think an Albertan leading Alberta and an Albertan leading Quebec would be a beautiful thing. So I think I take Quebec. I'm gonna
Correct.
be premier of Quebec. Get to visit Montreal, get some smoked meat, poutine. That sounds tremendous.
Okay, and would you rather to get in would you rather get elected as an independent candidate or a Rhinester party candidate?
Rhinoceros all the way, Sammy. Rhinoceros is in my heart. I
Mhm.
think a rhinoceros, it sends a message. It's a bull in a china shop, a rhino in parliament. It's a beautiful thing.
Mhm. And uh would you rather want Edmonton Oilers left the would you rather want would you rather want Edmonton Oilers lift the Stanley Cup or Edmonton Elks lift the Grey Cup?
Oh, 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 man. Oh, the Elks are really bad. That is a tremendous thing because the Elks, formerly Eskimos, lots of great Grey Cup wins. I think I would have to say the Oilers lift the Stanley Cup. I think that it's been a while, and I think it puts a more international stage. And Connor McDavid lifting it would be a beautiful thing. And then very quickly would root for the Elks to do it. But I'd rather right now, yeah, probably the Oilers do it.
Mhm. Okay, thank you so much for answering all my question, and it is always an honor and privilege that you are appearing on the Sami Parvez show, and lots of discussion and information, and lots of ideas, and lots of laughing and sharing and caring, with you.
That's the world needs more of it, Sammy. Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you. It's my pleasure.